Hi, I'm Alex Digerlando, the production designer of Netflix's Black Rabbit, and I'm here to show you the set. Come on. Black Rabbit is the story of the Friedken brothers, played by Jude Law and Jason Bateman, and the restaurant that they have, which is this beacon of nightlife in New York City.
This guy, 3 Negronis.
3 Negronis?
It's 4 now, actually.
4 Negronis. You got it. Hang on 1 second.
We kind of set out to design a place that feels very exclusive but welcoming at the same time. After looking for a building that we could use as our exterior location that would drive the design of the interior set, we landed on 279 Water Street, which is this amazing building. It's the oldest wood building in New York. It was built in 1794. And it was almost 100 years old at the time the Brooklyn Bridge was being built, and it's nestled right at the base of the on-ramp to the Brooklyn Bridge. We had this vision of a multi-level restaurant that occupied a whole building.
Come on, there's like 3 floors to look at.
There are a couple of reasons why one would build the interior of a set on a soundstage rather than shooting it on location. And a big part of that is logistics. Like, we have to occupy the space. The conditions at the actual location, the location is in pretty bad shape because it was fairly decimated during Hurricane Sandy.
This is the oldest bar in New York.
That's McSorley's.
No. Landlord said this is 7 years older. Pirates used to drink here. There's like a brothel upstairs.
You found it, huh?
Oh, yeah.
I've taken friends both to the location on Water Street, Dover Street, and obviously brought them to see this wonderful set. And when you describe what had happened, the bar, the brothel, the pirates, whatever it is of past, it's like the Friedkens fit very neatly into that. Yeah. And so in the history of, I hope, that location, people will definitely remember the Black Rabbit being a part of it.
And it's something we talked about, like we, the show Black Rabbit, are now part of the history of that building, which is really cool too.
Yeah, it is.
So this is the hostess stand where the guests coming into the Black Rabbit are greeted, and it was important to all of us that every detail was as authentic as possible. So that goes down to little details like matches. We had these made. We had these pens made. A bunch of factors went into designing the dining areas of the restaurant. We wanted this to be a very warm and cozy, inviting environment, kind of akin to like a pub in the English countryside. And then we also were talking about the brothers, before they were restaurateurs, they had a rock band in the early 2000s.
I'm just the drummer. There's the singer. That's the guy you want.
So we wanted a little bit of a rock and roll influence. So we were looking at the homes of famous rock stars like Jimmy Page and Keith Richards. So we were pulling all those kind of ingredients into the design. These snugs, which were inspired by the English pubs, we added. And one of the reasons we wanted to do that was the whole show is shot in a way where we're always looking through something and from behind something. So it gives us a good opportunity to have foreground. We had Roscoe backdrops photograph the 2 sides of the street across from the restaurant and print them as large-scale backdrops so that there's opportunities to have shots where people enter and exit and we're actually looking out into the real world as opposed onto the soundstage. So one of my favorite things on the first floor is this bar, which it was the bar that was original to the building. This bar is completely made from scratch and lovingly painted to look old by Elizabeth Lynn in our incredible scenic department. Another thing that I love is this glass partition wall. We sourced this bottle glass from a glass blowing studio, and we just love the way the panes distort. So there's a lot of shots that start on the distortion and pan through. The walls are another scenic treatment, and the idea for that is somewhere between 1794 and the present day, there was beadboard up on the wall, and that was pulled down, revealing like this chippy paint. And that's kind of an ongoing theme throughout the entire space, where the 2 brothers, there's Vince, played by Jason, and Jake, played by Jude. One is the more kind of polished front-facing brother, and the other one's the more scrappy, ne'er-do-well brother. So I really wanted, anywhere you look in the space, both brothers are represented. A new piece of woodwork next to an old piece of crumbling plaster. We dubbed this the library room because it has a kind of reading room feel, even though it doesn't have any books in it. It's got a working fireplace, which is one of 5 throughout all 3 floors of the Black Rabbit set. In the actual restaurant, there's these beautiful tin ceilings in the front room, which were in the original space. This back room is based on other rooms where the tin ceiling had been ripped down. We bought rough sawn lumber and aged it to create the illusion that this is a deconstruction of the space. This is the kitchen. I guess they heard you were coming, so they prepared some food. We had amazing food stylist team who are more than just stylists, but are also chefs, and they invented this menu especially for the show. You might hear a buzz, and that's coming from an actual fridge that's over there. All the stuff in here is actual kitchen equipment. The one exception to that rule is this walk-in refrigerator one of our art directors came up with, which is one of my favorite details. The walk-in has both a door where you can walk into, but it also has these glass doors so that the chefs can easily grab their ingredients and bring them to the stove. What that does for us is it gives us a lot of depth behind, so we're not just staring at a blank wall behind them when we're seeing them do their work.
She told me she wasn't coming in, so I fired her. Yeah.
There's a moment in the story where the restaurant staff recognizes that a food critic is in the restaurant.
Bar tabs on me when we get more than 1 star.
All right, no. I don't want to hear a word about that from anyone.
And a detail that we learned from our food team, a lot of times they'll keep pictures of restaurant critics up on the wall so that the whole staff is familiar with their faces. Lee Malecki, our set decorator, she has a little cameo on this wall. This looks like a real kitchen, and it has some functionality, including a working dumbwaiter, which we have a scene in the show where the camera goes into the dumbwaiter and goes up to the 2nd floor through the dumbwaiter.
The heartbeat for me, and literally coming in here and overseeing my pretend staff and my pretend clientele and feeling this place when it's buzzing with 300 plus background artists all at dinner or at the bar has been so important. Conjuring the energy required, creating that authentically was a really important starting place for me. Along with everyone else, we all stepped on and was just wowed by the detail.
You're saying they're on the list.
Private party upstairs on 3 tonight. Cipriani's.
So here we are on the 2nd floor. This area embodies the 2 spaces that the Black Rabbit is made of, the brick building and the wooden building next to it. Oh, and through this window I spot Lydia Marks, our set decorator. I'm very focused on the space itself and the architecture, and Lydia's job is to fill it with all of the stuff that makes it real, and that's everything.
Once I get the basis of our design from Alex with the research that he's brought and a lot of conversations and a lot of visuals, I start to flesh out the real things that are going to make this place a real restaurant. It's everything from the carpets to the furniture, wall coverings, fabrics, artwork. We also have been stocking our bar with real herbs and lemons and limes, trying to keep it very real. The only thing that's not real in our bar happens to be the liquor. We bought all this beautiful alcohol and then emptied it because we don't like to have real liquor on set.
It's cool to see the set dressing crew trying to get the right color mixtures. It looks like a laboratory.
I think one of the things I really enjoyed about making the set with Alex was that we let it become such an organic process. The way that the history of the building informed us, we also let what we were finding in the real world to decorate inform the decoration. We wanted the artwork in the restaurant to be sort of playful. So we found this artist, E.J. Belloc, who is a New Orleans photographer in the early 1900s. He made 2 books about sex workers, and those pictures were actually really beautiful portraits of these women, and they have a lot of joy in them. Along with this slightly illicit nature was really appropriate for this restaurant.
Obviously, the longer I've spent here, the more detail and the more I fall in love with certain areas. Some of the art that was chosen to hang has beautiful reference to the history of the building and the history of the brothers. I love some of the illustrations that you've had done for using the rabbit, like the choking poster.
Oh, yeah.
A few of the things we love in this particular dining room is this fabulous wallpaper we got at Zuschius and Prohasius in Vienna. They're manufacturing their papers by hand.
Another thing I love about this wallpaper is that it kind of conjures the feeling of like a mermaid's tale that fits into the like nautical mythology of the Water Street location that we're in. It's the original site of the South Street Seaport and the Fulton Fish Market.
Shopping for the Black Rabbit took an entire set deck team, and one of my assistants, Tyler Dawkins, had found a chocolate mold, and that led us into, I guess, a rabbit hole of looking for more of those. And it turned out that we were looking for them at the same time our prop master was looking at them, and I think probably bidding against each other.
There's something so beautiful about this object. If you don't know what it is immediately, there's something familiar about it, but you're like, what is it? And then you're like, oh, wait a minute, that's the mold of the Easter candy that I've been eating my entire life.
And there are rabbits throughout the restaurant, and they're tucked into little corners, they're tucked onto windowsills.
If you had to guess how many rabbit...
That's the M&M game.
Yeah. This is actually an etching of the construction of the Brooklyn Bridge, and if you look closely, there's our building right there. This is the same building from a surveying photo from the 30s. And then this is a photo of Gallus Mag, who was the first female bouncer of record. And she was the bouncer at the Hole in the Wall, which was a pirate bar that occupied this space. There's legends of ears being ripped off in bar fights and saved in a pickle jar on the corner of the bar. And this woman was responsible for some of those. So this staircase appears as if it leads up to the third floor VIP level, but we had to put the VIP on ground level next to this set. This is Jake's office, and he does all of his paperwork in here. He has his safe where he keeps his money and valuables that come into play. The idea is that this building, which is the brick building, is a tenement building. So all the rooms would have been very small back in the day. So we've created the illusion of a wall that has been cut through to make his office bigger. Part of the story is that Jake is run so ragged by the work and the hustle that's involved in keeping this restaurant going that he has a very nice apartment in Soho, but he very rarely makes it there and ends up sleeping on the sofa. Part of the mythology of the Black Rabbit is the Black Rabbits, which is the band that Jake and Vince started when they were in their 20s. It fell apart due to all the temptations and debauchery. We tried to honor that musical history up on this VIP floor, and we've carried that through to Jake's instruments. So this hallway at the top of the staircase is like kind of a transition space from the other floors of the restaurant to the more exclusive rock and roll vibe of the VIP room. And it creates this really cool lighting effect, the way that the light shimmers off of it and refracts. So this is the third floor VIP, the crucial moment in the show. A lot of the drama kind of hinges upon. There's tons of extras in that scene. It's very crowded, very chaotic. So we needed to design the space so that it would work for that.
I apologize.
We approached this floor a little bit differently than the first and second floor. Well, those floors are a little more nooky with like lots of crannies and small spaces that you can kind of disappear in. This is a little bit more wide open. At the actual location, all the rooms on this floor have floors that are painted different colored, and I love that. But what we did was we followed the sort of pathway of where the walls were, painted the floor to match that, but then removed the walls, and you can see kind of the traces of where the walls would have been. Tucked away little lounge area. One of the reasons to use red lamps and red light, the brothers want to create the feeling of a kind of a controlled seediness up here, the kind of feeling that anything goes. To be invited up to this floor, you have to know someone, and so that you can be comfortable doing whatever you want.
I need 2 more bottles of the Barolo.
Is that for Wes?
And the burgers and the caviar. It's been like this all night.
Did you put down a card?
You mean tonight or this month? I need 3 espresso martinis.
So one of the ideas that Zach and Kate, showrunners of the show, wanted for VIP was kind of a callback to some of their haunts when they lived in New York City in their 20s. And those would have been the same places that Vince and Jake would have hung out at when they were in the height of their success with the band. We're talking about places like CBGB's and Mars Bar. You weren't discouraged to write on the wall and you could leave your mark, because in a bar like the Mars Bar, that's like decades of very drunk people scrawling things on the wall. So our entire scenic crew, the directive was, whenever you have some time or whenever you're working in the space, make sure you add to it. I've drawn a little bit on it. My kids have drawn on it. You guys are welcome to also.
Do you remember the bars that we used to go to when we were setting up the band?
It was a million years ago, man. We were kids.
Okay, well, restaurants are the nightclubs of adults. That's what Black Rabbit would be.
And the other big inspiration for this floor, we looked at a lot of these vinyl bars. We really liked the idea that the brothers' love of music crossed over. So Molly, one of our set decorators, tracked down these old cassette racks, which brought back lots of memory. Like everyone who walked into the set would be like, oh my God, I had that exact rack. And these were taken by Lydia Marks, who you met before, and they're all of bodega flowers, which is a very like East Village motif. So you'll see those peppered out throughout the space. We didn't want like the repetition of like lots of little, pendant lights. So I had this thought, there's a lot of rusty old I-beams throughout the space, and maybe it would be cool to turn some I-beams into light fixtures. So that's what we did. They're actually made of wood and painted to look like rusty steel. So this is the DJ booth. It's an actual DJ booth with real turntables, and when we're filming in here, there's a DJ back here. The records are all from the dollar store or whatever. If you pulled them off the shelf, they might not be the most exciting, but they look good when you see a whole bunch of them lined up together. This is what we think of as Wes's Lounge. Wes Williams is the hip hop star who is the financial backer of the Black Rabbit, and he kind of holds court in this area.
What do you get in return? The 33% of the rabbit that your group owns.
That would give you 2/3.
I knew you man was good at maths.
Another fireplace, black leather furniture. I love this detail. We had extra remnants of the carpet that we used for the runners, so we decided to use them as tiebacks. The idea of both the ceiling and the walls is that, over time, the plaster is crumbling, and as the chunks of the plaster are falling off, you're revealing the history of the paint jobs that came before. And even we put in some vinyl tile to kind of imply that like at one point, maybe in the 70s, they kind of refurbished some of the rooms that were in here. And it shows ghosts of where the rooms were when this space was carved up as a tenement apartment. Sometimes we have scenes outside the restaurant. So we built this recreation of the exterior, and we went through painstaking detail to recreate the sidewalks. These are actually just wooden boxes that are treated to look like cement. This street lamp, we sent our scenics to the location, and they took a mold of this and cast this. This stained glass was designed by Dawn Macy, our graphic designer, and the scenics used different kind of films and gel mediums and lead tape to create the illusion of stained glass. A motif of some of the kind of hipper restaurants around the city to kind of start the experience on the sidewalk by creating a plant event and line the sidewalk. Sarah Jo, who leads our greens department, sourced all different planters and plants, and she also did the window boxes that you can see up there. Okay, I got to get back to work, but thanks for joining me, and I hope you enjoyed seeing what we've been working on here. Save me a drink at the Black Rabbit.